Hello and welcome to Flowing Through Film, episode 127. I am your host Blake, and this week we are continuing my Buster Keaton series with his first features, Three Ages and Our Hospitality. But before we get into anything, let me introduce my co-hosts Luke.
Hello.
And Danny.
Hello.
Alright, so we'll just get on, we'll honestly just go straight into Three Ages. So I think we already kind of talked about last week where with the shorts, Roscoe Arbuckle obviously had that the legal issue where he was accused of rape, and then the studio was essentially handed over to Buster. After he made all those short films, Joseph Skank essentially told him, he was like, it's time for you to try to make a feature, and Buster was feeling the same way, because like, I think Chaplin had been making features for about 3 years up to this point.
Wait, what year was this?
This was 22?
23.
I think, didn't...
The kid was
1919.
Oh, really?
Right?
25 was the circ... Or
21.
Gold
the kid's
21.
21.
25 is the gold rush.
The gold rush.
Yeah, because Harold Lloyd, Keaton, all the other comedians had made the transition to starting to make feature-length films, but Keaton was still doing two-reelers. So they were basically saying it's about time for you to start to like attempt a feature film. And Keaton, there's a rumor slash legend that they didn't, that like Keaton filmed Three Ages for like the purpose of, if it didn't work as a feature, they could split it up into just three different two-reelers.
Damn.
But that was also never confirmed. Like none of them ever said that in life. It's just a legend. But
that makes really good sense now that I'm thinking about it.
I mean, so Three Ages. We'll just go ahead and get into Three Ages because it was his first feature.
Like, would you buy that theory at all? Based on
I would buy it.
Because I'm like, do the images ever interact at all between any of the three stories?
The theme interacts.
Okay, yeah, but films have different movies have themes that interact. Like, no, it's not. I'm saying it still works. Like, especially with this introduction of the quote.
No,
at the very beginning. But I'm just asking, like, do you think, would you buy that legend? Like, why would that legend just come to be, though? Like,
well, yeah. I mean, the legend...
Like, I could, like, the way it feels, like, I could buy it. But maybe as we go through it, I'll be like, oh, maybe not. But,
I mean, it connects just because the theme connects, I guess. And it keeps the constant same characters throughout, which is trying... Like, that's another connective tissue, I guess. But... Like, it works as a three-reeler, but it would also work if you split them all up. I think that's why the legend came out, honestly.
Because
they do
has
work.
the same characters that have constants throughout his
exactly.
Too, so like,
yeah, but it was a massive success. Like, that was another thing. Like, this was a massive success, so Keaton was allowed to do, as we'll get to, Our Hospitality as well. But before we actually get into any of Three Ages, in my opinions on it, what did you guys think of it? Because honestly, I will say this is not my favorite Keaton, obviously. He's still working things out. He hasn't fully figured out how to, like, transition his shorts to a feature film yet, in my opinion. I think there's too much story in this. That's one of my problems. But what about you guys?
Yeah, I do like it. Like, it has a lot of interesting, like, I guess, ideas in it, especially with the obvious, like, this is like you said, it's like a spoof of intolerance. Honestly, I love intolerance.
Yes,
it was interesting seeing Keaton's take on it. It does feel a bit clunky, like him trying to like move through the flow through this movie. I feel like, especially because with all these like three storylines, it is kind of harder.
I think it feels clunky also because one of the storylines, well, all of the storylines have their high points, but there is definitely two storylines that are far superior. The Roman storyline, the Roman storyline is the worst one. For sure.
No, because there is some like amazing moments, especially like the rooftop.
Yes.
Like chase scene thing. That was crazy.
Dude.
He has some absurd stunts in this, and like it's a fun time. Obviously, it's definitely not gonna be like near the top at all of my like Keaton list, but I liked it. So
I mean, since you're the one who brought up Chaplin, no, I'm kidding. But like he didn't. Like, all I'm saying is he didn't start with Chaplin's like the kid or Chaplin's second feature is A Woman of Paris, dude. It's just like, oh my god,
he got better.
Whoa, stop! Oh my god. Wait, what did you give A Woman of Paris? Like you deleted your rating, but it was like 3 or something.
It was like 3.5, I think, right now. Or maybe 3.
It was initially a 3. I think I have a screenshot somewhere of that.
You have to.
Actually, I didn't. Wait.
But okay, either way, I didn't want to bring up Chaplin, but It's
still
I
a
think you're
3.
right because I mean Chaplin. Because I was looking, he directed The Kid, but then he also made The Idol Class after that, Payday. So he was still making
Yeah, he was
thrillers
still
even
making
after
shorts.
that. Like he was kind of in between. And this movie kind of feels like that. It's like in between.
Yeah.
Like you said, yeah. That's why I'm like, it still kind of makes sense that if he would have split it up, because it just feels like 3 short like stories. Maybe there are some comparisons as we go through that are interesting to me, like the way the rich guy changes throughout. Like it becomes like it's like he's a tall guy. I think he might be tall in all of them, but like anyway, he's more like just a strong guy in the first one, and then he's like a soldier. He's like a general in the second one, and then he's like a rich guy in the third one. You can kind of say like that's like the evolution of man too, like how powers change in a way. But there's like certain things like that are interesting. But for the most part, I just thought it was okay. I do like episodic movies. Like I guess I was gonna say this before, but I would have liked it if it just would have told one story first, second story third, instead of like just jumping like.
I wonder what you
like
should
one
watch.
little
I
story
wonder
at a
what you
time
think of
back and forth.
Intolerance.
Yeah, because he is spoofing Intolerance, like Luke said, and I should have brought that up at the beginning because I did watch Intolerance this week. Also, that's one of the reasons I wanted to choose 3 Ages for this. Honestly, is because I needed a reason to watch Intolerance, or not a reason, but a reason to force me to, essentially. But it is David or D.W. Griffith is doing the exact same thing in Intolerance, where he's just jumping around. Not the exact same thing. Obviously, not the exact same thing, obviously, but the same structure.
Yeah, structure. It's definitely much better in that movie. But.
No, Intolerance.
I can see the
Intolerance
length
is
helping
shoulders
that.
over.
Yeah.
No, the length for Intolerance
versus
helps
70
immensely.
minutes versus just this being 70 minutes.
This
like
one's
an hour,
60.
right?
Yeah.
Oh, 60. Yeah, the other one's 70. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, no, I mean, you guys hit on all the points of why I also don't think this is, like, Keaton's, like, the highlight of Keaton, obviously. Like, he's definitely still figuring things out, like we've been saying, but at the end of the day, it's still just a pleasant watch. Like, this is what, with most of Keaton's features, all of them except for College, which we aren't doing, I find them watchable and very enjoyable. Yeah. And 3 Ages is definitely watchable.
Like, I'm never gonna, like, be mad that I watched Buster Keaton.
Exactly.
Like, do dinosaur stuff. Like,
Yes.
in the 19... Like,
Watching him like posing, he's like posing at the very beginning in his like caveman outfit.
Yes. Like... Yeah, but with that, we can go on ahead and just get into the movie. So it does open very similar to Griffith's Intolerance, of just the picture of the book and saying this is a story of love through the ages and how essentially love has not really changed that much, or man's love for woman has not really changed that much.
Yeah.
And before he goes straight into the Stone Age, and honestly, I love this opening, the Stone Age, because it's like Buster's just kind of experimenting again, because he's got like the stop motion like dinosaur with his little like figure like riding on top of it and shit. It's just kind of fun. It's just fun like watching him play with that shit. But
I wonder how he like did that too. Like,
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I know it just looks like stop motion, but
he's still like on top of it though, right?
it's just a figure on top
Is
of
it?
it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure because the figure does move later, but yeah, I'm pretty sure that's just a figure on top of the dinosaur. It's really cool though, but yeah, he's just setting this up like comedically, obviously, but it's got the classic Buster Keaton setup of what Danny was kind of saying earlier, of this tall, strong man versus the smaller, not like weaker, but I mean like physically less imposing Buster Keaton.
The guy like rides in on an elephant too.
Yes,
like...
so many elephants in the prehistoric one, which I love, like the prehistoric storyline, which I love, But
like we don't have woolly mammoths, but we have close enough.
Yeah.
And the elephant comes.
I mean, elephants still existed back then too, probably.
They did.
I don't know. When I think of that age, I just think of woolly mammoths. I guess.
It's the media. There's still more elephants.
Don't
Don't let Big Mammoth get you. Man.
Yeah. It's like Ice Age.
Don't let the liberal media tell you otherwise. Yeah,
Ice Age propaganda.
Yeah, but he is basically just setting up this love story of, and I love the title, or the little title card we give, "A troubled heart ever yearns to know the future," and he goes to the to like this witch essentially, and we have like this photo ID tablet gag, which I think is really funny. Like, I don't know, there's just a lot of like little gags in these.
Like the Ouija board.
Yeah, the Ouija boards, the turtle Ouija board.
That was genius.
It was genius, dude. He's like, I need to ask the Ouija if she loves me or something, and it's just a turtle. But after all these little guys, kind of just setting up this basic story, like we are introduced in this prehistoric to the tall man, or to the other love interest, his rival, and then also to his actual love interest. I think she's played by Megan Lardy. I shouldn't have said it. Doesn't matter. I mean, it does matter, but
The turtle bites Keaton too.
The turtle does bite Keaton after the witch says that she's gonna
Margaret
love him or
Leahy.
something. Margaret Leahy. Okay. So I think she was a fairly famous actress in the silent film era too.
I mean, this is her only movie on Letterboxd.
Oh, this is never mind.
They could be all lost. Though.
It could be. I don't know.
Even then, like usually they have the lost films on there. I feel like
They usually do.
Oh yeah.
But after this setup of the prehistoric age, we cut to the Roman Age, which, like I already said before, the Roman Age is my least favorite.
I will say before we get to the Roman Age, there's like one little moment where I guess like where he's like rolling dice or something for his fortune, and then people are like betting on it.
That's this one actually.
Oh, that's
in the Roman Age actually.
Oh, okay.
no, yeah, that's
That's the best joke. That's the best joke of this first opening of the Roman Age actually. But the Roman Age is set up very similarly to the prehistoric age, obviously, of just showing like how love hasn't really changed, but how parents love for their child and wanting them basically to have the richest man is the same. Because we are introduced to Buster, who is he's apparently in the Roman army as well. We find out later, but he's just like this little guy set up against another like general in the Roman army essentially. Because the dad walks in, and the dad is played by I think John Roberts, and he's a very famous Buster Keaton actor. He was in a lot of those shorts we watched last week, and he is also in Our Hospitality.
Yeah.
But he's
he's
just judging the two men, and he looks at the guy at the rival and says, "Thou rank the highest in the Roman army," and then he looks at Buster and says, "And thou art the rankest." It's just
I guess rankest means lowest.
rankest just mean like if you say like you're the rankest, it means you're stinky.
Oh, okay.
You smell rank. But,
Okay, rank.
but then he also visits the local wizard in the Roman era.
Yeah,
See if she knows him.
It's a wizard guy. Like.
Very similar gag, but this leads to that little dice gag.
I love
That's
when they all
amazing.
come and like start betting on it. Like, okay, yeah, that's where some things ever change.
Yeah.
Some things never change, man. But then after that, it's a very short setup for the Roman age. I think Keaton knows it's also not his greatest, but it cuts to the present age of need, speed, and greed.
Speed, need, and greed.
Speed, need, and
Come
greed.
on, Blake.
Sorry for getting those mixed up. But he's just setting up this era's rivalry as well. And this one is just hilarious, just setting it up, because it's Buster is driving next to the guy. They're looking at each other, and then Buster goes over that little like thing in the road, and his car literally just falls apart around him.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
How'd they do? Like that's like a crazy like.
There are so many just
like
things
process.
falling apart in Buster Keaton movies that you're just like, I don't even know
They
how
must
you
have.
make it.
They
like
must have
this.
literally held this up by like duct tape or something to get that to fall apart like that. Like.
Or there has to be like just it's held up by like one nail that's attached to like a string or something. And then
Yeah.
if Buster pulls it, it just topples. Like
Yeah, something
No,
like
that's
that.
crazy.
it's fucking insane. But after that quick gag, we are introduced to like his love interest in this era and like her family. And it's also just showing how, why I said in the Roman era, it's not really changed, but the parents are kind of definitely also the same of wanting the best for their child, and the best is always money. And this one is a great joke, honestly, because it's just like showing their disparity in their bank accounts, because the rival love interest, he brings out his like his checkbook. And it's from First National Bank, and he opens it up, lets the mom look at how much money he has, and she's like, oh, like all good. And then like Buster pulls his out, and it's from the last National Bank or something. And then whenever he opens it up, they all just like look at him like disgust. But yeah, after that, it cuts back to the prehistoric days. So.
I gotta get into the head of the bank owner who named their bank Last National Bank.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, man. Come on.
They cared everyone.
I guess.
The lowest. No, but then it cuts back to the prehistoric age, and it does kind of start cutting kind of faster as we move along, as the love stories kind of just get kind of in its vibe. But this one just has golfing with clubs, obviously, just classic pastime for humans of all ages, apparently. But this is just his attempt to make the love interest jealous. All these next three sequences are all going to be an attempt to make the love interest jealous, and so. This one is honestly really funny because as Buster, he's just kind of observing around him how the other men are trying to make their women fall in love with them, and it's with this kind of being rough with them, and so he essentially sees someone drag off his wife into the cave by her hair, and then he tries to do the same thing with the girl he's trying to make his actual love interest jealous with. So he like starts pulling on her hair, and then she stands up and she's like gigantic.
Oh,
Yeah.
And this is the one where we have that amazing shot of her knocking Buster Keaton off the cliff and him just blowing a kiss at the camera.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Love it so much.
damn.
But then it cuts to the Roman age. We get the Roman ages version of this, which is also just, as will be kind of common until we get to the chariot race in the Roman age, it's just a little bit lower.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. That seems
The chariot race is
that
amazing,
seems
but in the Roman age, but everything else is just kind of like, yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, because like this love, or like him trying to make this love interest jealous is just, he's playing a harp, like serenading her under the balcony before
with his beautiful
face.
face.
With his beautiful face, exactly, as Orson Welles says. No, before the love interest like drops a bass onto his head. But his attempt at making her jealous at this is the harp, and then also like trying to woo another woman as well, which leads to wrestling. So
Oh yeah, he gets manhandled.
gets manhandled. Man, he does.
Yeah, damn. That is. He's showing his gymnastics skills.
No,
so-
he's
He is.
definitely not afraid of embarrassing himself. It definitely shows in this movie. Like he has no problem with it.
He has no problem with his characters being like one up by women.
Oh yeah.
Sure. But yeah, then it cuts back to the present day, and this is honestly one of the funniest gags in the movie. I love this. I love this entire sequence, honestly, of like Buster seeing his love interest walk into the cafe, and so he follows her,
Yeah.
and he sees that. So like while he's following her in there, we get like a quick cut to another couple at this cafe, with the man pouring his flask into water before seeing like a cop, and so he pours his flask into like just the jar of water and puts it on the other table, and you're like, oh, this is gonna go fantastic.
Yeah.
And it's the table that Buster Keaton sits down next to, and he sees like his love interest with his rival across the way, and so he gets like kind of depressed and just like starts drinking some water, and he's like, oh, this water tastes interesting. It's just like Buster Keaton playing a drunk is always amazing because it just lets him do things with his body that only he can do. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's obviously drinking the water, gets a little bit tipsy, and it just leads to his attempt at the seduction of the woman like next to him, and it doesn't go well. Obviously,
Yeah.
like she just keeps on applying makeup. At which point, Buster he's just really tipsy. Like he just starts shaving at the table because she's applying makeup. I don't know. It's just a really stupid gag, but he is just. So after like the husband arrives back to the table, he walks back to his table, obviously, and he is just getting sloshed at this point. Like he's just drinking all the water as he's watching the other two dance and shit like that. And he eventually ends up passing out. At which point the rival love interest gives the waiter a note. Says to give it to the man at the other table. The note says, like, why don't you leave this boob? I think it says, leave this boob here and come out with me or something like that. Yeah. I'm the guy pretending to be asleep behind you. And so the other guy looks behind him. It's obviously Buster, and he, like, knocks him out. But honestly, the drunken walk of the cab is my favorite part, because he's, like, trying not to get caught by the cop almost. The cop just opens up the cab for him, and he walks directly through it. And just walks off.
Honestly.
He
Chaplin
pays the
does that in City
driver.
Lights.
I would say that's also like feels like a Tati guy.
Chaplin does that in City Lights, I'm pretty sure.
Walks through
Walks through a cab door and just like goes out the other side.
that wouldn't surprise me. But like, I'm thinking of Tati like in Monsters to the Holiday when he like, well he like just kind of goes through like that hotel when he's like he's bringing the people's bags.
He just
Oh, yeah. I know what you're saying, dude.
But yeah, it's like
Whenever he's
it's a
walking up
similar
the
guy.
stairs, and then
Yeah.
they just like the centrifugal force just takes him
Yeah,
out.
pretty much. Yeah, it happens quite a bit with him.
It does. I do love how he pays the driver afterwards too, and just walks off though. It's hilarious, but
Yeah, no, that is.
but yeah. So the story is just continuing, obviously, and now we're at the duel section of the movie, where all three of these ages are going to witness their duel as the men have to duel for the woman, and so. The prehistoric age, Buster is found wooing his love interest with his rival, like in the cave. Essentially, the rival walks out, sees him there, and basically challenges him to a duel at sunrise. And then directly after he challenges him to a duel, Buster walks over and makes his will, which is honestly just a really funny gag. But like I said, this just all kind of moves fast because like the duel happens immediately after that little short gag with the will, and Buster is found to be cheating because he puts a rock into his glove, and so he gets dragged away by an elephant. They just attach him to the elephant.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, dude. And the elephant, like that. The next scene from the prehistoric age opens with the elephant and with the title card. That is honestly really funny, but that's just a quick little scene of the duel with in that prehistoric age before we get to the Roman age. Yeah. And honestly, the Roman age starts with a weather gag, which weather gags are always just good for a laugh because it's just like the wizard has like that.
Oh yeah,
it's gonna be fair and sunny outside, and they walk. He opens up the door, fair and warmer. That's what it was. And then he opens up the door, and it's just snowing. And so he just like erases it and just puts snowing.
Yeah.
But Buster in this one is challenged to a chariot race at high noon because he is also found like trying to get the love interest to fall in love with him also. But because it's snowing, he comes up with the ideas to use skis instead of wheels, and it's honestly a great idea. And so the next morning happens. His rival arrives at the stadium with his horses. He's just there, and then you see Buster just ride in. He's got dogs pulling his chariot.
The best part about this scene though is the spare tire, the spare dog in the back.
Man. I love it, dude, so much. It's so good.
Like
this is definitely the highlight of the Roman Age, of the Roman Age storyline. Yeah, because like it has a lot of great gags in this state, like the spare tire and changing it with the spare dog in the back. It's just hilarious. But then you also have like the dogs get distracted by a cat which runs away, and so Buster like just decides to tie it to a pole and use it as like a carrot on a stick for the dogs. It's like, I don't know, it's just really stupid. But you also have this like little moment that Gladiator kind of like popularized, the like thumbs up, thumbs down. Thumbs up, thumbs down moment with the love interest dad up there as like his Buster's rival is below, like complaining that he's using dogs and everything, like he's not allowed to do that. The dad's just up there going like to the rival, and he just gives him a thumbs down. But this one ends with Buster getting tricked into a lion's den. As like the rival basically just him and someone else just trick him to fall into a lion's den. And that we'll be coming back to that one shortly, obviously. But then it cuts to the present day, and the big duel in this one is a football game. Okay. So it's also kind of like how we've already said in this podcast multiple times how warfare is basically just like transitioned into sports.
Yes.
Like it's just modern day warfare at the end of the day. Like
we've talked about it in a few episodes.
We have.
Yeah.
Like it's very interesting to see how like men have kind of transitioned their more brutal emotions into a safer pastime of sports, but although in this era, like football is not a safe sport.
Just a little bit of CTE on the side.
Football is still
just a very little bit.
But yeah, especially not back then.
No,
I mean,
honestly, we see him like
yes, we do.
He's like literally like getting a concussion. Like
oh, he's out, dude. He's out cold.
And they're like putting him. They're like standing him up.
It's so funny. It's so funny. Like the concussion test is
the way he's like getting dragged too is so funny. Too.
Well, because like his rival, like it opens with his like the rival and the love interest like looking at the football game, and Buster like walks up. He's like, I'm actually playing. He's not. He's just coaching. And so the coach puts his name as a player, obviously. But then at the actual football game, whenever Buster gets concussed, his rival is literally just standing there holding him up while the ball's snapped because they're not waiting because no one wants to wait anymore. Yeah. I don't know. It's just fucking funny. But
I will say there's a lot of false starts going on. Like when he's falling him across the line. Like
I mean, the best part is like he's just slowly regaining his like motor function as the scene progresses, and so you just see him like start kicking like a fish at some points, like just spinning around in circles as he's starting to get his brain back essentially. But he ends up catching the game-winning pass at the end of this. They win 6-0. Great game. 6-0. But
we watched a Harold Lloyd movie with football.
Yeah, Freshman.
Yeah. Honestly, that one might have been. Actually, Keaton would have been like if he made a whole football movie, it would have been funny.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, so the Freshman came out like what 2 years, the same year as this actually. It might come out the same year as this. But Keaton's College is very much in the Freshman vein, which is one reason why I also don't love it, because Keaton's always best whenever he's doing things his way.
Freshman came out 2 years after.
Oh damn! Okay.
1925, the Freshman came out.
Yeah, but College definitely has some of these types of more of these sportsy scenes in them. So which they are fun scenes at the very end of the day, but yeah, at the very end of this present age storyline of this duel, we see the rival plant a bottle of whiskey into Buster's pocket and tells the cop about it. So yeah, and it's just like this rival is like really, really like cruel and mean because I mean it's funny because it's like this is something men would definitely do, obviously. To get like a woman, but he puts the whiskey, tells the cop, and then as the cop's like dragging Buster away, he gives him the newspaper clipping saying that like they're getting married at noon the next day. Yeah, and it's just like, damn man, just like I'm gonna rub it in even more. But then after that, we obviously cut back to the prehistoric age, and I love the title card, like I said before. It just says, like, in the meantime, the prehistoric young man returns home from a sightseeing tour. It's just him getting dragged back by an elephant. Yeah. And the elephant gag is honestly hilarious because he just keeps on dragging him. He ends up dragging him over, like, cactuses and everything.
And that's a real elephant, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, damn. Elephants are great actors.
Guess so.
Best of actors. I can't wait till we get to go west, honestly, with a cow, But yeah, after like Buster gets himself unentangled from the elephant, gets back home, he essentially helps his love interest escape her parents' choice for her, and this is kind of what Buster's kind of saying with this movie is like, I mean, maybe not like what he's saying, but like it's one of the themes of like. Society wants women, or like society and parents want women to choose like this one thing whenever they need to let the women choose what they actually want, essentially. Yeah. Because each one of these ends, obviously, with Buster getting the girl, but it's always to the parents' either disapproval or they finally see that Buster is worthy of their daughter because of what he does, essentially. Yeah. But yeah, this one is just like this one's honestly great. Because he just takes the girl, like, helps her escape, like I said, and then they end up on this, like, cliff, and it leads to some insane stunts, honestly. Or just, not stunts, but just insane images of just, like, Buster just, like, throwing, like, just a bunch of rocks.
Yeah, it's like a snowball fight, but with rocks.
Yeah. And the cavemen below are using the trees as, like, catapults. Yeah. And eventually Buster will, like, make his way down, knock out all those cavemen, and then see his rival up on the cliff with his love interest, or with his girl. And so he uses the trees as a catapult to launch himself up and save the girl. It's great. Awesome. It's great. But that is the end of the prehistoric age storyline as he drags her away by her hair. I'm pretty sure. Or is that later?
I think
that
it comes back later. One time.
It might come back.
Oh yeah, it's at the very end. Like they show he has 9 kids.
Oh yeah. The happy ending. No, yeah, because he does drag her away by her hair at the end of this one, I guess. But hey, it's true love.
Get back that.
Yeah, it's true love in the prehistoric age. Yeah.
It's a bit different time, Danny. Different time. Way different times. But yeah, then we go back to the Roman age, and this one also, I do kind of like the lion stuff just because it's funny.
This lion is funny as fuck. Like this costume, awesome. Like in the face. it's like clearly fake, but
it's like still funny as hell. Like I love it.
Like the face is like over exaggerated here.
It's so emotive. It's hilarious.
Like honestly, this is a way better line than the new Lion King that's gonna come out.
Oh,
it's like live action CGI or whatever. Like it's live action. You know the live action.
Yes, give us real live action like this. Have a man
get a lion costume. Get an actual lion. I don't care. Like, I want to see something.
Well, this is not an actual lion.
Or just it's like material, you know.
So a guy in a costume.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're saying you want that?
Yes.
I would take it over the fucking CGI.
Yeah. Like if it's comedy, especially, it works. Like this is funny. This is so funny.
It is so funny because
like the way he's like giving a manicure.
Well, yeah, because it opens like everyone knows the story he's talking about. Obviously, with Buster remembering the story of like a lion with its someone helping a lion with his paws, and that story is like the mouse that helped the lion remove the like thorn from its paw.
Oh, I have no idea what they were talking about.
Yeah, that's that story.
It's like everyone knows what you're talking about.
Well, I mean, that's a
wait, did you know that?
I think I might have.
I've heard that story.
No, yeah, it's a common story.
Yeah, but I forgot. Like I was like,
I just thought he was giving a manicure, to be honest, bro.
No, because I remember that the caption was somehow he remembers how friends made with lions by doing something with their paws or something.
Yeah.
I was like,
I just thought he was giving a manicure just to be nice. So
Yeah.
like,
I
make
mean,
friends
yeah,
with
that's
it.
basically what he's doing, you know?
Yeah.
Trying to be friends with the lion. I do love the manicure scene, because the lion looks down at his paws, like,
He's like, yeah, like,
the lion approves. But Buster gets rescued by the girl's parents, and I just love it because they see him down there, and he's just like, he just waves by the lion. They're like good friends now. But they do find out like the girl's been abducted by the rival, and so he's off to save the girl. And he performs many feats of physical prowess to do so, including like literally becoming Samson and pushing down some pillars to save her from the rival. Whenever he pole vaults into the fucking room. I don't know. He does go off in this scene. Honestly, it was just showing his
Turns
his
into like a ninja basically. Like.
He does, dude. But yeah, he does end up saving her. Obviously,
the way he jumps on the horse.
oh yes,
And stands on it
Yes.
like while it's riding, and like it's
And then
just like
pole vaults in.
pole vaults. Like what the fuck? This guy's insane. Like Jackie Chan definitely watches this. Like I know my life mission now.
Oh, he did, dude.
Wait, I forgot to mention the part when he leaves the lion's den. They salute each other too.
They do, yes.
That's another part where the lions like you see like humans are like.
Like this should be what the Lion King really is. Like, that'd be so much better.
If only. But yeah, after this Roman age storyline ends with him saving his girl, obviously, we cut back to the present day, and it just opens with the title card after a delightful ride in the patrol wagon, and then it's just him arriving at the police precinct. So he tries to escape the cops whenever he arrives here, obviously, especially after he goes into the room and finds that the man his love interest is about to marry is a criminal.
Yeah.
He's wanted for, or not wanted, but he's been at least booked for bigamy and forgery. So
What's bigamy actually?
I think, isn't that just being like married to multiple different people?
Yes,
I think that's what bigamy is.
Wait, is that
Active
wait? That's
marriage,
that's like
active
a
marrying someone while still legally married to another person.
Okay,
that's
yeah.
illegal.
Yeah,
It's still
yeah,
illegal?
that's still illegal.
Because technically, marriage is
it's a legally binding contract.
Yeah.
Damn, I never knew that was like illegal to do that.
Then marriage would literally.
I mean, I wasn't like planning. I wasn't like
even like for a law. Like
I wasn't like planning on doing it.
I mean,
No,
bigamy.
I know, but I can see why you'd be like, oh, I didn't know that was like a law.
Yeah, I just thought like, yeah, I don't know.
I don't
just never
know,
thought
That's
about
why
that.
divorce is such a big deal because it's not just like a goodbye. Like it actually is like, it's like a
Goodbye.
Like, yeah, I want to.
it's like an actual legal process. So.
Yeah, that makes sense actually. Well, I just thought it was a legal process mainly for like the financial and then like
I mean, it
if
is
you have
mainly
kids
for that. Yeah,
and stuff like that.
it's mainly for that. But
It's like how you can't have like a residential in like two areas. You know, you have to have like a. I don't think maybe. Like if you're filing taxes, you have to have like a home. You know, you couldn't have two.
Yeah,
I don't think. Maybe.
I don't know. I don't think you can.
But it's like that's kind of like just for the law, you know.
yeah.
It's not saying it's morally wrong, really.
Okay.
Maybe back then it was.
Bigamy
like,
might not be illegal in every state now. It's definitely illegal in Arkansas, but I don't know if it's legal in every state. But yeah, so he does try to escape, and this leads to really funny moments of him trying to escape from the cop because, like, essentially he's trying to escape originally, and then he can't, and so he decides to go into the phone booth to try to call her. And while he's in the phone booth, a very, like, aggressive prisoner is brought in by another cop, and so the big cop has to take the prisoner and kind of like help the other cop essentially get him into the other room. And while he's doing this, the payphone is exchanged.
Yeah.
And so Buster Keaton doesn't know this is happening, obviously. He's being loaded onto a truck. Whenever he's done with the phone, he hangs up, walks out, and just falls right off the truck on the ground.
Yeah.
But I mean, it starts a kind of a classic Keaton cop chase with whenever he like falls off, the cop starts chasing him, obviously, with a few other cops, I'm pretty sure. And this leads to that just insane stunt of him.
Yeah, the amount of like kinetic energy in this scene is crazy.
There's a reason
Like-
he's known as a kinetic hero, obviously.
Like, what the fuck?
It's just insane. Like, he could have literally died on this one because there's only a net.
Is he
protection.
actually
It's
outside?
Yeah, no, he's actually. This is a very, very elaborately planned stunt.
Damn.
Where it's only like, I think there's only one cut, and it's after he's like, whenever he like falls and grabs onto the thing, there's a cut like there, and then whenever he falls again, that's like just the end of the scene of that reel or of that like the
Shot.
film of that shot. But there's literally just a net. It's a 3-story building, so it looks a little bit taller, but it's 3 stories, still really fucking tall.
Yeah.
And there's just a net below to protect him if he falls.
Damn.
And so they were trying to convince Keaton not to do this stunt. They were really trying to convince him not to, but he was obviously gung ho to do it. And so it's very elaborately planned. Like this is something that Hong Kong also is very very much known for, where the stunts look, and they are insanely and dangerous and insane, but they are very, very much so elaborately planned, scientifically calculated to make sure that the stuntman lives.
Even then, it's like
even though apparently, like, because I was reading last week that a stuntman did die on a Keaton short. They just kept kept pushing.
I was gonna say too,
it was out of the shot. So they even used a shot apparently.
In Police Story 3,
or it was a cameraman that died too.
Damn. I didn't know.
It was on one of the shorts. I have to find it. I'll find it.
No, but like in Police Story 3, when Michelle Yeoh like jumps a motorcycle on top of a moving train, I'm like, all right.
I mean, she actually hurt herself on that one too.
I'm like, bro, okay, like how safe can you get there?
They had to stop production on that one because one of the times that she did that, the motorcycle kept on going and she literally fell off, and they had to stop production because they actually show that. Because one of the best things about Hong Kong is show the stuff afterwards in the credits. Look how dangerous we got. But yeah, this shot is fucking insane. Like, he literally just puts a plank down, kind of just tries to jump across buildings, fails, like barely catches himself, doesn't really catch himself, starts tumbling down the building, actually does catch himself on like an awning before that awning breaks, and then like basically just leads into the end of the shot.
Slide through the building, down a pole on like a fire station.
Down a pole right on top of a fire truck that immediately drives off with him on it. It's just insanely elaborate and impressive, dude. I love it. It's so like 3 Ages obviously is not the greatest Buster Keaton movie, but it has moments like these where you're just like, there's always a reason to watch a Buster Keaton movie, essentially. But I do love after the fire truck drives off, like Buster Keaton's basically just pretending to be a fireman, because like the fire truck drives and goes to the police station that's on fire somehow now, and like all the firemen are walking in, and Buster like grabs an axe and is about to go to help before he realizes he's at the police station, and he runs away. But after all this, obviously, Buster steals the bride on her wedding day from the church and reveals to her the mugshot in the car, like the man she's about to marry is accused obviously of bigamy and forgery and all this. She kisses him in return. He responds by pulling her back into the car that they just got out of and yelling to the driver, "Back to the church!" And then they go back and get married. And then the last shots of all 3 of these ages are obviously them living their happy lives. And it is interesting how it changes, because the prehistoric one is obviously like they have a big family. The Roman age, they obviously have a big family. And then the modern age, they have a dog. And they're living in the suburbs.
I like that.
But yeah, that is the end of 3 Ages. A really fun movie, like I said. But we are going to take a quick break here before getting to a far superior movie, in my opinion, Our Hospitality. From the break with Our Hospitality, Buster Keaton's second directorial feature, and honestly the first one that's amazing, because this one I honestly love Our Hospitality. We'll get into it as we go along, obviously, but I honestly love it because it's Buster kind of just going back to what made his shorts work, whereas 3 Ages is still really good and entertaining. I did say at the very beginning of 3 Ages that it just has too much story for a Buster Keaton movie, honestly, for me, because the best thing about Buster Keaton movies is there's a theme that's throughout the whole movie, and he has like a period that it's usually set in, but the story is not usually important. What's important is like making you laugh, like I was saying last week also. And Our Hospitality is just, it's honestly set up in like 7 distinct sequences that all could work by themselves in their own little like short films, honestly, but he made it in such a way to like make it all cohesive and feel part of the same movie, which is also something that we were saying he kind of failed at in 3 Ages. So I just think this is a massive step up in all facets of his game, honestly, for our hospitality. But before we get into anything else, let me ask you guys your opinions on it. Because have you guys seen either of these movies before?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I liked it. It's interesting, especially seeing him get like, being like, having his like content being very serious, especially at the beginning.
Yes.
Like at points, like it's like I've never seen him be in this mode before. But yeah, I liked it, especially like the scenes of like it's the family like subtly trying to kill him.
Yes.
Are like pretty funny. Those are probably my favorite scenes in the movie. But yeah, I liked it overall for sure.
No, I liked it too. Yeah, I definitely liked it better than 3 Ages. It feels like more coherent. Like I wouldn't say I loved it, but no, I liked it.
I might like it more when we talk about it.
Like I felt like you said there's 7 sequences. I felt like maybe a couple of them like kind of go too long a little bit, but I don't know. I guess maybe I'll change my mind as we go into it, but overall I liked it. I don't know, like the ending is just like all of a sudden they like switch up and they're like happy with him. I guess I'm not happy with him, but you know they kind of have to, I guess, like accept him now because he's married to him. But, no, there are some great. I guess as we talked to him, like you said, it's more about the set pieces and the action in the movie. So we'll get to it.
Yeah.
But overall, I like it. What about you?
No, yeah, this is definitely, like I said earlier, a massive step up for Keaton from 3 Ages. Like it brings in like a lot of what I was talking about last week in terms of like just how structural of a director he is, how much he likes just symmetry in general, and how much he uses that symmetry to mess with the audience and their expectations of a normal universe, basically. Because this movie has just so much shit of just man against basically nature, and the man having to overcome nature in ways that you wouldn't usually assume, obviously. But it's also just like the return of like him as the kinetic hero, which I know we were talking about that in 3 Ages. Like he's always moving, obviously. But this movie is literally, he is always moving. He's literally like a pendulum in this movie, going from back and forth. Like that book I was reading by Daniel Maus, actually, he brings up the fishing sequence in this movie as a perfect description of or a perfect like symbolism of the entire movie in general, and just like the reversal nature of like just physics in general of this movie, because that movie has just so many reversals going back and forth of like making you like feel like he's won, he's triumphed, then he fails, then he's won, then he fails, then he's won, then he fails. But that's what kind of why I love this movie, because it's just showing us what I love about Buster, the kinetic hero. Like he can't stop. Like the world does not let him stop, basically. And so we can just go on ahead and get into it with kind of what Luke was saying earlier. It's an intro that cannot be construed with comedy at all.
No, yeah.
And it's like this first sequence is usually what people would call like a melodrama sequence. Like this is out of place in a Buster Keaton movie. He doesn't ever go this way. Yeah. And it's for that reason of structuring a world that we all recognize, and we all like basically like the structure and symmetry I was saying, like the dynamics of just like a real world, making this feel like it's set in a real place just so we can fuck with you later, essentially. And also it also gives like the stuff that happens later with the family an air of greater danger, because you've actually seen this family kill each other basically before. So it definitely it makes the entire movie it sets the movie on solid ground just so Buster can mess with it like later on, which is why it's an interesting part in like Buster's filmography, because he doesn't really use these moments, like I said, like of melodrama. Like this might be the only use of melodrama in these features that we'll talk about, honestly. But
and he's not in it.
Yeah, he's not in it
the first
at all.
5 minutes.
Yeah, I think this is like a 7-minute sequence or whatever of just like this melodrama stuff of just setting up the feud between the two families. And it opens with just like the title of like Once Upon a Time, a long time ago, families would feud for like no reason, or the feud was just because they were feuding. Like it's just what their dads were doing, so they have to continue it. Yeah. And in this section of the movie, it's just setting up the core comedic elements that he will be using later on in the movie, obviously. But it's composed, like I said, in a very serious way, and it's just more so focusing on like the dynamics between these two families. Like we see the love thy neighbor as thyself in the Canfield's house. That'll be coming back obviously at the very end of this movie as well. But that is shown right before we see the act of killing of both, like basically these two men's duel, like the two fathers duel of the one father of this young baby who is actually Buster Keaton's son. Yeah, this is the only movie in Buster's filmography that has all 3 generations of Keatons in it, because Joe Keaton's in it also.
Damn.
So you have Buster, Joe, and you have Buster's son in this movie. But yeah, they kill each other in that duel though, which essentially leads the mom to send Buster away to New York because she doesn't want him to know about this feud. Whereas the other dad basically says like, now this feud has to continue because I have to teach my sons to avenge this, obviously. But then like after this opening kind of just melodramatic sequence, we get the second sequence, which is just our intro to Willie McKay, which is Buster. And it opens with like this medium shot of Buster just kind of like dressed up and just as like a gentleman with his hat and everything, but just his top hat. But this scene does have these really cool moments of Buster splicing. Like he basically walks home, or I think he rides his bike home, maybe
without the pedals.
with no belt. Yeah. Oh, actually, that's after this. Because first he basically goes home. He gets a letter saying that he has received the estate of his father, John McKay, in somewhere. I don't remember where this is actually taking place, but it's taking place in like 1910 somewhere. But it's spliced after he like reads that, spliced with his idea of what he's getting, which is just this like plantation house, this like really immaculate estate that he's going to be receiving essentially. And he tells his aunt about it. He's like, "Oh, Aunt, I look at this. Like, I get this estate basically. Like, what should I do?" And she's like, "You should definitely take it, but before you need to like learn about this feud essentially." But yeah. So then we get like that ridiculous bike ride, which is just fucking hilarious.
No, it's the other way around.
It actually is the other way around.
It's the bike
okay.
first, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't messed up in my notes for some reason, but
No, yeah, the bike happens first.
Yeah, no,
but
the bike.
Either way, it doesn't really matter.
It doesn't really matter, but that bike is
It's so funny.
Yeah, it's so funny. It's just the perfect thing for Keaton to be riding on because it's just him in general, dude. Like,
I mean, it kind of shows like his state of things, like before he gets his
Yes.
fortune too. I guess it's like he has to ride a bike with no pedals.
ride a bike with no pedals, and like every mode of transportation he takes at the beginning of this is kind of symbolic of his character in general. Just like this guy that seems loosely put together but is more sturdy than you realize, essentially. Because the train is very much the same way that we'll get to soon. But yeah, that bike ride is fucking hilarious. But then after we get that like the dissolve of like his idea of what he's going to be getting, we get him actually leaving to go to Rockville, I think is what the place is called. But so this is like him going to the train station, which Buster wanted to set this in the 1810s because he loves trains, and this was whenever the trains were really starting to become like basically invented and actually used to push further west. And so
he loves trains.
He does love trains, and I mean we are gonna get to it, obviously. But this definitely does have some stunts that will be seen later on. The general just way bigger and better, But yeah, so like this scene of him just arriving at the train station is really fun looking at early trains because they kind of just look like here in Arkansas we have like Silver, and yeah, it's Arkansas, I guess Silver Dollar City, where you have like that train that goes around everywhere. That's literally what this train basically looks like, just like a little train with like open carriages and everything that just looks like a horse-drawn carriage with the train.
Like,
So
they had to travel like cross country with this.
that's insane, dude. But we're introduced in this scene, obviously, to the love interest. We don't know who she is yet. She just comes running in a little bit late, and Buster helps her out. And we're also introduced to like Joe Keaton, who is playing the engineer, which I love Joe Keaton in this movie. He's just got some funny moments of him just moving his body also, which is great. Because Keaton has this really interesting thing in this where he's making like Joe Keaton literally look like a part of the train. Whenever he's conducting it, like he literally looks like just another part of the train, which is kind of cool. But they're essentially on their way to Rockville, and I do love this scene of like we see like gawkers like as the train's going past, just like showing like kind of more of what Buster's like. It's a new invention, and people are interested to see what it looks like.
Like the beggars that are like trying to get on.
Yes,
and,
like
swat
literally.
away, like.
There's like one guy like sleeping under it. Like
One guy is sleeping under it. Yes.
Yeah. Like he's like there's like guy like throwing like
Rocks
wood,
at it?
like I think it's like wood.
No, I love the rock throwing because that one's hilarious because it's like that old man throwing the rocks at Joe Keaton.
Yeah.
It's like he's done this a lot because he's
why is he doing that though?
well he wants to get the firewood.
Oh,
Because he's just throwing the rocks at him, wanting Joe Keaton to throw the firewood back at him, and then he's just collecting the firewood.
Yeah, that's smart. I like that.
Okay, I was like, what this? Well, I didn't know what was going on.
He
there.
wants free firewood, man. It's
Okay, there we
expensive.
go.
No, I'm just kidding. But I mean, this is just a great use of like just Keaton using kineticism movement just to have just a bunch of gags, because this entire ride out to Rockville just is full of gags. Like, I love the hat gag that we get, which is, I think it's whenever like the carriage is like bouncing up and down, and Keaton's like he's like trying to put his hat on. It's a little bit too tall, and so he like puts it up against the top, like goes under it, and then puts it on, like sits on top of it, or like sits under it, and then like it bumps a little bit and pushes the hat all the way down his head, and then he like puts it on with his actual pork pie hat, like he's actually the real character now. But then we just have more of just like, we have curving and sinking rails on the railroad.
The rail that goes over the log.
Yes,
like
who designed the road?
Like,
Oh, I mean, it's malleable enough to be able to move around a stubborn donkey that doesn't want to move out of the way.
Yeah,
you know,
Oh, that donkey.
I love that. I love it. I
Remember
love a
that
donkey
scene?
appearance.
Remember the scene? It reminded me of a scene in a movie we reviewed.
Oh, is there about this problem?
No, Intervista. When the donkey gets in the way while they're going.
Oh.
I need to watch Intervista. Yeah, I don't remember that.
You don't remember that?
I do remember it.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
And I love because there's like a small moment too where right after they do all that work for the train to leave, the donkey just walks.
Yeah,
Plus, there's actually a pretty good close up of the donkey too. That kind of reminds me about like this one.
yeah. I
Keaton watching Prasan?
I love a good donkey.
Okay.
As eating this. Yeah.
No, Keaton has always appreciated animals in his movies. Always appreciated them. It's one thing that makes him great. But as obviously this train ride, just a ridiculous train ride continues on. We get this really funny quote of Keaton going like, "Oh, finally, we're on a steadier course," and the train's literally off the rails. It's literally just on a road. But and that's because obviously Joe Keaton was making his breakfast, so wasn't paying attention. But as this train ride is continuing on, essentially, it cuts back to the Hanfield house, and we're getting more in tune with, like, this is our first intro to like the Hanfields grown up. So like we are introduced to Joe Roberts, which is it Joe or John, the bigger guy that plays in Buster Keaton movies. I know his last name is Roberts. I think it's Joe, but this is actually Joe Roberts' last movie, because he actually had a stroke in the production during the like filming of Our Hospitality that they had to stop production for a while. He did come back and was able to finish the movie, obviously, but then he did die of a stroke like 4 months later, which does suck. So this was his last actual performance, and it adds a little something, because he is a great Buster Keaton like actor. He was in a lot of Buster Keaton movies, but yeah, we're just introduced to them all growing up essentially, and they get the notice that their daughter, or that their sister, the dad's daughter, obviously, is coming into town on the train. And so now we know who the girl with Buster Keaton is on the train. It's his sworn enemy's daughter. But so after this little short scene with the Hanfields, we are now back with the train as it's just kind of continuing to fall apart.
Like the cows getting in the way.
Cows getting in the way. The wheels are literally starting to fall off the train at this moment. Like the back wheels are literally starting to fall off. And it's Buster Keaton's kind of playing with it, because the wheels are starting to fall off, and then you're watching the train go over, like come up to a bridge, and you're like, oh shit, this train's about to fall over the bridge. And then it doesn't. It makes it across safely, just to like fall apart literally as it makes it to the town. But we do have like that scene of the girl falling asleep on Buster's shoulder and everything, which is kind of sweet. But yeah, after their arrival, the train arrives at the station, all just like rams into everything. Like there was a moment at the train was coming in where they got like detached, and the train like it's honestly a perfect moment, showing like nothing ever stops in a Buster Keaton movie. Nothing can stop anything, because the train without the conductor is still moving as fast as the train with the conductor behind it. But yeah, it's just great. But yeah, now we're at their arrival to town, and we have another dog gag, because Buster's dog has been following him this whole way home. Obviously, just under the train, and he's literally just checking his paws just to make sure he's okay. But after that quick paw check, we get one of the Hanfield boys is there. Like all the Hanfields are there, to greet their sister, but one of them kind of is like off to the side. And Buster Keaton basically asked him, he was like, "Do you know which way to the McKay Estates?"
Can you direct me to the McKay Estate?
And this just leads to basically the whole point of this movie, showing politeness.
This might be my favorite part of the movie.
Oh, I mean, this scene with him just like, because it's
casually just like walking in, asking for a gun.
Yeah, it's more of just like this repetitive nature that Buster loves. Obviously, he loves to use repetition in his movie, and this has 3 repetitions, and it's just each one is better than the last. But yeah, he asked him on the way, and obviously because he's so polite, he has to show Southern hospitality. He's like, "Yeah, I'll show you the way." Yeah. And so he's just walking. He goes to a storefront. He's like, "Oh, can you wait right here? Like, I gotta look for something in here." And he walks in. He's like, "Do you have a gun?" And then the guy's just like, "No, I don't have a gun." So he walks out, and I just love it because he's just like, well, it's just like the little gestures of just like he walks out, he just like gives Buster like a slight little polite bow, and it's like continue on. It's just like, I'm not trying to kill you at all, but
no, and the fact that he doesn't give up too, like,
oh, it's so good. Yeah, because he tries twice, doesn't get anything, and then the last time he walks in, Buster sees a woman getting beaten across the street, and because he's a good guy, he goes over and tries to help her, and she starts beating him up and makes him run away. And then whenever the Hanfield boy walks out with the gun this time, he's like, "Oh, I finally got the gun." He's not there. And he's like, it's like, God damn it. But yeah. So after that, the father or the son returns home and tells the father, like, the son of John McKay is in town. And this leads to kind of Buster just unknowingly walking into danger multiple times just to like get out because they don't know who he is just yet. Because it's like so they're going to retrieve the guns because they want to kill him, obviously. Buster walks out of nowhere because he was running away from that woman up to the fence because he sees the daughter there, and he starts talking to her, and she asks him to come over for supper. Because it's not that they're romantically, they do have feelings for each other. He does, dude, he does. But she asks him over for supper, and then she goes in as the father and brothers are like getting their guns ready. She's like, "I've invited a very nice young man over for supper," and the dad's like really happy. He's like, "Oh, yes." It's like he's literally like, "Splendid. He'll never forget our hospitality." And then they leave to hunt for Buster.
Great use of the title.
Great use of the title.
In the movie, always love that. When they use the title in the movie.
Because
the dad's like, he'll never forget our hospitality.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And he never will. But after this little short sequence, we have Buster arriving at the McKay estate and the destruction of his fantasies. Because it's like, he arrives and we see that dissolve again of like what he thought he was arriving to. Because he like asks this guy like, "Oh, where's the McKay estate?" And he's like, "Oh, this building right here. It's this literal dump." And he's just like, he has that dissolve of the mansion in his mind, and it literally blows up before he like actually tries to walk into the house, and the house is literally a dump. It's destroyed. I just love that he's literally like, he literally pushes on the house, like he bangs on it, and everything just starts falling on it. Oh, it's so funny. But after the estate is literally trying to topple on top of him, he runs away and arrives right back into the arms of danger right at the gate. Yeah. He meets 2 of the guys, but they're the 2 that don't know him yet. Yeah. And so they are just so polite. They just politely bow to him and like, "Oh, yes, be on your way, very nice to meet you." And then they walk in, and the brother walks out. He's like, "That's the man we're after." And then it leads to them just like trying to shoot him, and he's too far away, obviously. Yeah. I do love that Buster has like the long shot though of him like just like looking around like, "Oh, what flew past my shoulder?"
The guy's like his gun jams or whatever.
Oh yes, yeah. That's the next thing that happens. It's so good because that also comes back just like. Because there's a thing that I mentioned last week where Buster Keaton, his characters will do things in this clumsy way at the very beginning of the movie, like he doesn't know what he's doing, only to have like a night of sleep towards like the middle/end of the movie, and then to wake up and do those same things, but willingly and like with intent, basically. Yeah. And that's what this scene is one of them, where the brother is like trying to shoot him, his gun is jammed, and the Keaton is just like sees him, he walks up, grabs the gun, shoots it on the ground, he's like, "Oh," then just hands it back to him.
That's why didn't guy just shoot him right there though? He's just like, "Oh."
Well, it's a powder. You have to load with powder, so
it
takes
like
a minute to load.
Again.
Yeah, it takes like a minute to load.
Damn, 1810.
Exactly. But yeah, it just leads to more polite gestures after the gun shit and everything. But after that, we have the start of the next sequence, which is what I call like the fishing sequence, obviously. Yeah. And this is just honestly here, like I said before, I'll read the quote from Daniel Mao's book, because it really is, this scene is the entire movie in like a nutshell. So the quote that I'll read, it starts, "The fishing episode is another microcosm of the film's entire world. What happens to Willie in its few minutes is an abbreviated version of what happens to him throughout, and helps to establish and reinforce the metamorphosizing nature of his comic fate. There operates throughout both the episode and the film a law of reversal, a kind of comic necessity demanding change, which keeps Willie active, making him a kinetic hero, even when he is seeking rest. Like much of the film, the episode develops through a series of rapid reversals, from triumph to failure to triumph and back again, becoming a sort of near perpetual motion comedy machine, which never comes to full stop in any position until the end."
Perpetual comedy machine.
Perpetual comedy machine. And I do love that he said that, because this scene, he actually points out 14 distinct reversals that happen in this scene of like him triumphing and failing like really, really quickly back to back to back. But it really is like, I love the part of the quote where he's like, making him a kinetic hero even when he is seeking rest, because that's the thing about Buster Keaton movies. His character can't rest because the movie and the universe literally won't let him. Like it's one reason why I love him. But yeah, he basically is walking and he decides it's time to rest. It's time to, and he sees some kids over there with the fishing pole. So he's like, I'll buy one of these kids' fishing poles. So he buys one and then walks over, and after he buys the fishing pole, it cuts to these two random men saying, "It's a shame to blow up this dam, but we must irrigate." So you know something's about to happen. They do blow it up. It's a nice little like miniature explosion. I kind of like it. But we cut back to Buster after they explode the dam. He's just sitting there, nothing's biting, so he throws his pole into the water before realizing he threw it away too soon because there's something biting. So he like hangs up his hat, dives in, gets the fish.
Is so funny.
Yeah, it's so funny, dude. Yeah, no, he dives in, gets the fish. He goes all in.
He's like,
he is well, and it's kind of like what he did. Like he loves diving into water. Water is a huge part in Buster Keaton movies. Also, I know we mentioned that last week, but yeah, obviously dives in, thinks he has a big fish, just a little minnow, but he uses that little minnow to catch an even bigger fish. And then
also the waterfall's coming down.
Yes, the water.
Yeah, pulls out an umbrella too.
Oh yeah, I wish that umbrella shot is so cute. It's so funny because it's just like, it's more of Buster Keaton just messing with what we usually think of as the normal universe, because it's just like he's sitting there, he's like, oh, water's falling, I'll just use an umbrella, and then just an actual waterfall starts and it doesn't matter. So, but the waterfall itself, even though that's a failure in like the reversal sense of the word, is a triumph because it hides him from the Handfields who are coming to look for him and kill him. But I do just love this. I do love this fishing scene because it is just like the entire movie abbreviated. So, but then we get to like this next sequence, which is just the supper sequence. Sequence 5, which is honestly, or sequence 6 or something. I don't remember which sequence this is, but it's like, this is the best part of the movie, definitely. Like the supper scene, just like everything, like, because Buster still doesn't know whose house he's in whenever he first arrives there, and I love that he arrives just completely wet, like he just came straight from there. But all three of the Handfields are completely shocked that he's there. Like they didn't know that this is the young man their daughter was interested in.
But they can't kill him in the house.
They can't kill him in the house. He reminds them of their code of honor. You know, they're too polite. They can't do that.
But even then, the two sons are like, actually, we just wait till he goes outside.
Exactly.
We'll kill him. You know.
Exactly.
We can make a loophole in this. Like.
Yeah. Well, Buster doesn't know, obviously, until the parson arrives. Because whenever the parson arrives, Buster overhears the two sons saying what you just said. Like, father won't allow us to kill him in the house, but if he's out of the house, we'll be able to shoot him. And so Buster asks the butler whose house he's in. And I love it because, like, Buster has this thing with his movies where you can just hear what the characters are saying, even if they don't actually say it, obviously. Like, a lot of silent movies are great like this, where it's just like, if they're great directors, like Chaplin has this obviously too, where you're just watching their face and they say something, you hear it in your head. Like it's just like, I don't know. It's just a way some of the silent filmmakers were able to do that. It's cool, but he literally just says we're in the Canfield's house, and the Buster's like Canfield. But it's after this moment that Buster gets obviously really nervous, and he decides to try to run out of the house, leading to him just running around and them trying to shoot him, which also comes back in him performing this in a more intentional way later in the movie. But all these scenes of him just like trying to escape only to be foiled by them always end hilariously, because he always runs back inside and they all have to act polite. Because like
that's
whenever
another kind of reversal you're talking about, how like his safe haven comes in like the house of the people that are trying to kill him because of like politeness, basically. It's kind of funny.
It is, dude.
Because you could do killing in the dark.
You're killing in the dark. Exactly. But yeah, after this we have like that dinner scene that we were talking about. The Parsons praying for the meal, and I love the shot of Buster just like keeping one eye open, looking around. Everyone's keeping their eye open. And then we have the father suggestively sharpening that knife, like the turkey knife, and it's getting like ever closer to Buster's neck. I don't know, I just love it. But it's a nice little cut of like the full turkey, and it's just like a nice little passage of time shot of like the full turkey, and then dissolved into a turkey with just bones, and everyone's satisfied. But it's time to say goodbye. And Buster is trying to draw this out as long as he can, because he doesn't want to say goodbye, because he knows he will die if he does. So, like, as he's, like, shaking everyone's hands, finally time to say goodbye. They're starting to talk to the Parsons, so they aren't paying attention. So he just, like, throws his hat away. Like, he's trying anything and everything to, like, stay in this house. But he's, like, using his dog to, like, perform tricks. But after all this shit obviously is failing, they aren't amused by anything he's doing. So he's like, okay, it's finally time to go. The Parson is also ready to go now. So the Parson opens the door.
The way they're like all like reaching for their guns.
Oh man, they are, dude. They're all like so ready. But yeah, like so the Parson opens the door, and the dad and it's like raining really hard outside, and the dad says it would be the death of anyone to go out in this weather tonight. And then he asks the Parson only if he wants to go up to stay in the house, and basically telling Buster the hint like get out of here. But Buster, I just love it because Buster just walks up the stairs with them and just like tips his hat to everyone, like thank you for staying. But this leads to that like night of rest that I was always talking about. Like Buster sleeps, we don't ever see the sleep, but he wakes up a different man. Like he
also,
wakes
it's
up
interesting,
like
because you mentioned how nature is a big part of Keaton.
Yes.
Like just like a storm coming to save him.
Yeah.
Is interesting. Like
usually
it's in the house. It keeps him in the house. So. Usually it's I mean, we saw like a waterfall save him earlier.
Yes.
Like kind of these disasters saving
natural
him.
disasters saving him. Or making him like change into the man he is, basically.
Yeah. Okay, that's a good way to see it too. He just goes with it, you know.
Yeah, and it's
like whatever's happening.
It's like it's what makes him surrealist in some ways, but also just like these are fantasies at the end of the day. Like these nights these days after sleep can easily be seen as like a dream or something. Maybe like it's the fantasy of a young man that if you fall asleep just to wake up and do the same thing again the next day, you actually are going to be able to do it better, basically. Like you've learned from your mistakes from the prior day and you're able to like make this day better. Damn. Like that's actually something in Buster Keaton movies where he does do the same things a lot in his movies, but he always does them intentionally, like I was saying earlier, after like these nights of sleep or after his character has experienced like a hurricane or something like that. Like he's able to perform these things that he was not doing with intention earlier in the movie with intention. And it's always just kind of fun to watch. But it does open up with the classic Buster Keaton tile card of like, by the next day, young McKay had decided to become a permanent guest. He's like, I am not leaving. but like as I was saying, he proceeds to do all the tasks he had done the previous day intentionally in this scene, and in a confident manner. And it starts with him like, so this scene is like set up. He's listening to the daughter play the piano, and he's trying to woo her intentionally this time. Like he wasn't trying intentionally the day before, but he's locking in right now, man. He is, and then he starts to pretend to escape.
Yeah, because they're all looking at him like
yes,
like he's like the prey right there, like
literally the prey, and he does try to escape. He runs around the house. He does trick them.
He goes outside and then immediately goes back in the other door right next to it.
Yeah, it's like he tricks them just so he can have a little moment with the girl almost. Yeah. But it is really funny because after he tricks them, they're running around the house and they just see him standing there like with the girl, and so they post like one of the sons is like standing outside now, and so this the one of the sons standing outside leads to the next like intentional thing that he's doing that he performed the day before. But it's like the music sheet blows out the door, and the daughter's like, "Oh, can you get that music sheet for me?" And he's out
like,
there.
Out right now.
He's like out there. But he does what he did the day before by taking the guy's gun and just firing into the ground, putting it back so he can't shoot him.
He's like, you shouldn't play with a loaded pistol.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, like after he gets the music sheet, he gives the girl a kiss, but the father sees. And so after the father sees, Buster kind of like goes into another room, and the father reveals to the daughter who Buster is in this movie. It's the son of John McKay. And after this, Buster, it's how you know it's like a real love story between them two. Like, and I honestly, Natalie Talmadge is the actress for the girl in this one. She was actually Buster Keaton's wife in real life. During this movie also. They had a very, very, very bad marriage. It was not a loving, good marriage. They were together. Nope, it was not good. But no, it was not good. But I should have at least mentioned that she was in this movie because she's not in a lot of movies. She's in a few Buster Keaton movies, but this is definitely like, it's just an interesting thing that Buster decided to choose the role of the wife that he's eventually going to marry in this, with in-laws that want to kill him as his actual wife. But but you know this is like a real love story because whenever Buster walks back in and talks to Natalie about if she still loves him, essentially, after figuring out, she rejects him. And he completely forgets about all danger because he's so heartbroken. Because he just like grabs his hat and just like starts like depressingly walking out the door, completely forgetting that there's that one of the sons is out there ready to shoot him if he does. But he quickly is reminded of it because they do try to shoot him, and then he runs back inside the house. Yeah. But after he runs back inside the house, like Natalie, she's begging them not to kill Buster. And then Buster walks out dressed up as it's either a maid or the mom. I can't decide what he's trying to like dress up as. I think it's like
it looks too nice of a dress to be made.
So it's probably the mom. Like he's dressing up like the mom, and he makes it out of the house before they realize like they could see his trousers and that's Buster Keaton. But this does lead to a very elaborate gag with a horse's ass.
Yes, that's
very elaborate.
I was about to mention this. We might have to use this. Might be one episode we use a still that's not Keaton.
It's a great still.
This
still,
horse in close up with the. It's like
with
this
the bonnet.
Is a crazy gag. Yeah,
dude, it's so insane because like you've been watching Keaton this whole time running this dress, and then we cut away just for 1 second as the Hanfields arrive to like this wall and they see. Well, okay, so like this scene kind of plays out like Keaton's running to the train. They're running, they follow him, because they realize who he is, obviously. He jumps onto a horse off of the train, starts riding away from the Hanfields. The dress and everything blows him off, and at this moment it kind of cuts back to the Hanfields as they're running, and we see them arrive behind this like barn, and they're looking at what we think is Buster at this moment, because it looks just like what we've been watching. It looks just like the man we've been watching run in this dress. But as they're about to like shoot, the horse turns and you see it's a horse's ass that has this dress on, and then it's just wearing a bonnet. And you're just like, it's such an elaborate gag, man.
Yeah, no, damn.
No, which way? Are you talking about the still like to the side?
Yeah, on the side one, yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's very impressive. I love it so much, but
because he hangs on like just the horse dressed up in close up too.
He does.
Just like emphasizing it's kind of how funny it is. Like,
yeah.
No, because like I'm looking at it right now, the one from the Hansfield's point. What's it?
Yeah, the Hanfields.
The Canfields.
Hanfield.
Is it Hanfield?
I think it might be Canfield or Hanfield.
You're like, no,
the family.
Canfield. It's probably
Canfield. It is
yeah.
Canfield.
I've been saying Hanfield.
But if you're like, we're seeing their perspective, and then like the horse in the distance, it really just looks like a dress. Someone holding a dress with the umbrella from behind.
It does. It looks.
But then the horse turns around, and it's like that same.
It's the same shot.
Yeah, it's the same.
That's what makes it so impressive.
It's crazy. And then it cuts to a close up of the horse, and like we get to just appreciate like how good this gag is.
Exactly.
And the horse looks good. I mean, like it should have became a thing.
He's telling us.
Yeah, damn.
Get that first game, man.
But yeah, then we get like this huge cliff thing.
No, yeah, then we're almost to the moment where it's just like basically just Buster against nature. We're not there just yet, but we're essentially there because like Buster is running away and he arrives at this cliffside. And this was so the ending of this movie is a mixture of shot on a very intricately built set on his location in California and actual on-set location shooting in Oregon and California. This shot, obviously, with him on the cliff looking out, that's a location shot. So it's a really great shot of like just the scale of everything. Like the cliff stuff itself, I cannot believe that he actually did that like on a cliff.
When they cut to him in the medium close,
Yeah.
like just so you see his bodies, and yeah, it's probably a studio.
It has to be the studio because like all the rocks and shit are falling. But yeah, like so Buster decides to climb down the cliff face to get away from the handfields. But whenever he gets down, he's like, I'm stuck here in the middle. So he starts yelling for help. And so the only one there to help him is one of the Canfield boys. And he goes over to a farmer there and he's like, hey, you got a rope? I need a better angle to shoot someone with. It's so good. But he basically ends up rescuing, in air quotes, Buster because he's trying to shoot him. Buster sees what he's trying to do. And so he just kind of like yanks him. And this is some like Roadrunner ass shit where it's like... it really is.
Like falling back and forth like that?
Yeah. It's so good. Well, it's just Buster's reaction too, because he's like he doesn't realize
two enemies being chained together.
Yeah,
all of a sudden.
it's like one of those type of guys.
Yeah.
It is, dude. Well, yeah, it's just like this. Buster's not realizing the laws of physics until he actually does a motion, and then he's like, "Oh shit! There's a reaction.
Yeah.
There's going to be something."
Yeah, like his face when he's like having to like take it in for a
Yeah.
few seconds, like, "Oh fuck,
Yeah.
I'm about to fall."
It's so good. But yeah, like we see like these two dummies just like fall into the river, obviously at the very bottom, but they're still connected, obviously, and only saved by a train. Joe Keaton saving his son again, but but yeah, he ends up hijacking this train essentially as it severs the rope that they were connected by. He ends up hijacking the train from Joe Keaton and just takes the engine himself. And obviously, this is going to be something we'll be coming back to in a couple weeks.
He's like preparing for the general.
He is preparing for the general in this, and it's what I never know whenever I'm watching a Buster Keaton movie if like any of this stuff is planned, because it really does look whenever like the train like is getting further and further apart that Keaton's kind of like freaking out for a second, like this is good. I don't know,
like only has like this little rope attached to it. Like,
yes, dude. Oh my god.
Like, if he falls, he could hit his head and like fucking kill himself.
There are so many moments where Buster Keaton could have died, and he actually almost died at the end of this movie. Like, we'll get to it. It's at the waterfall, though, obviously. But so we have some. So this starts Buster against nature. Obviously, whenever the train goes off the rails into the river, it's another instance of like something metamorphosizing, and Buster just taking it, like just going with it, man. Yes. Like
when he just turns the train into a boat. And he just like takes the
he
uses something as a paddle like right away.
It's just he's unfazed.
Yes.
Like it's so good. But yeah, now we have like the 7th sequence, the last sequence of Buster against nature and like the rescue of his girl. Yeah. And so it's like Buster is just going down these rapids, and so this is the part of the movie where he almost died because he was very mixed. Like he never used stuntmen, obviously, until he was later on in life, like whenever he was 60. So in this scene, they were still kind of torn between if they were going to shoot all this stuff on location or if they were going to shoot it on a set. And so on this rapid scene, Buster is connected to a rope, and the rope got caught, and he got held underwater for a while. And they just found him. They found him 10 minutes later face down on the riverbank. They didn't know if he was alive.
Damn.
Yeah, dude, like it's fucking crazy. So after that happened, they made the set obviously with the rapids in their California studio. Okay. And then they had the actual waterfall scene where Buster is saving Natalie from falling. That was actually done at the waterfall, I'm pretty sure. Okay. That because Buster at least the scene of him swinging across, that was done at the actual waterfall because Buster wanted that set piece to be done on location.
It's a high peak too. Like there's a shot of from the top of the waterfall at him, kind of pointing below. And it's like a large drop.
Dude, it's insane. Like him just holding on that log. Oh my god, it's like this entire last sequence is just absolutely insane. So you just have Buster going down the rapids, there are some great moments of him just like acting like a fish, just like jumping out like salmon.
Yeah,
I don't know. He's definitely going off in this moment too. But Natalie is here and she's trying to rescue him because he's obviously just a man in the water. And so she's on a boat. She grabs the boat. She's not good on the water, obviously. Yeah. And honestly, like now she was, like I said, she wasn't in a lot of movies. Her sisters were. Like I know, like the Talmadge sisters, they were pretty massive in silent cinema, but. Some people definitely accused Buster of her not being in more movies because of what happened in this movie. Basically, like she was doing her own stunts, I'm pretty sure, in some of this stuff, but it was definitely not an easy shoot. No Buster Keaton movie is.
I couldn't imagine it being easy.
You know she's in Intolerance too.
I did know she was in Intolerance. Yes.
Well, who's she playing in Intolerance?
I don't remember. That's why I don't remember because she's not playing the main girl.
No, that's Lillian Gish.
Yeah.
But damn.
She does play someone in there though, but yeah. So like this scene just continues on. We get to the waterfall, which is really the set piece of this whole thing. Insane. It's just fucking stupid. Like like this is something Jackie Chan has too, where it's like you really shouldn't be doing this, man.
Yeah,
like, you can really die.
Something's like not right with you, but like in a good way.
But in a good way, yes.
It's for our pleasure, yeah.
I do kind of love the waterfall scene though, like as it starts, because it's like Buster's just like he's on his log, obviously, just like at the edge of the waterfall. He's on the rocks right now, and he's just like casually watching the boat fall. Yeah. And then he's like, "Oh, okay." And then he sees Natalie just start coming down. He's like, "Oh god, oh god!" But this scene of him like swinging to catch Natalie is kind of also just the movie in general, because he's literally a pendulum as he's swinging her. Like he's always in motion, man. Like it's just a classic.
And then has to like throw her on the little cliff ledge type thing.
Like see that is also insane. Just like oh my god. Like if you missed that.
It's really exciting to watch.
It is a very exciting watch. It's a great ending. Like, and the parson. So the parson arrives somehow. Like this rock cliff face apparently has an easy track to like get up and like get onto a car. But hey, you know whatever. We'll take it. We'll take it. But the parson arrives and does save them, and then it takes them back to the house, and we get this title card of darkness put an end to a fruitless search, and then we have the Canfields returning home, empty-handed. Yeah. And these are some great shots, honestly, with like the dad opening up the door to the room because the daughter doesn't answer, and he just sees Buster and her on the bed kissing. Yeah. And then they're still super pissed, obviously. Like they grab their guns and they're like slowly walking into the room, and then the door opens just a little bit further, and you see the parson there with his Bible. Yeah. And then the parson just asks like, "Won't you kiss the bride?" And then you have the great like, basically the daughter. The dad accepting this marriage as he looks at the little like sign behind him saying "Love thy neighbor as thyself," and it puts an end to this decades-long feud. He shakes Buster's hands, and then they all lay. We have this one great little last gag of everyone laying their pistols on the table, and Buster has a billion pistols.
Oh, yeah. Well, because we saw a shot earlier where they're missing all their guns on their wall.
I didn't see that. And
that's why I think he just took. They're assuming he took all their guns, because I think when he came back to the house, he's like, "Okay, they're not gonna shoot me." Like he's trying to take all the guns, but.
That makes it even better.
Yeah, that's
honestly.
why I think he's like putting all their guns back. Yeah.
Makes it even better. I missed that. I must have missed that. So
it's like even back in the 1810s, Americans had a shit ton of guns on their wall.
Yeah. You gotta protect yourself, you know.
Yeah. I mean, those things were probably expensive as fuck back then.
Well, also, you had to have a lot of guns if they were like muskets, because you can't reload those.
You just have everyone loaded.
Yeah, like, you just have them like one back.
Yeah, that'd be crazy. And then you're like, you get your servant to load them for you. I just shoot.
But yeah, that is the end of Our Hospitality. They kiss. Everything's all happy. I love Our Hospitality.
I definitely like it more after talking about it.
Yeah, So I loved Our Hospitality the first time I watched it. This time though, it's one of Buster's best. Honestly, like I'll probably be saying that for a lot of the movies as we rewatch them. Like, so people are, as we continue on, people on here will probably be confused at some of the movies I don't love, because there are definitely some Buster Keaton features that people hold in high esteem that I do not hold in high esteem. The General, the Navigator, they're not my favorites, but
although
a lot of these movies are fucking just
first time I watched the General, I wasn't really like a huge fan of it, but I also watched the colorized version, and it was like years ago. Like
don't do that.
Fake fan.
It was like 3 or 4 years.
You're kicked off.
You're kicked off.
I'll probably like it more.
The General is still a great movie. I still love it. I just don't think it's one of Buster's best. We'll get to that obviously later on in the podcast. But next week, let me pull up my notes again because I closed them. We are doing. Do you have it up, Luke? I know that you have
Damn.
it. We're doing Sherlock Jr. and the Navigator. Oh fuck yes, Sherlock Jr. Let's go.
But you don't like the Navigator, though?
So the Navigator, I'm much more
He's a hater.
mid on, but it might change. I watched it once last month, because it's one of the ones I hadn't seen in like 5 years. I did like it more, so we'll see if I like it even more this next time. But because the Navigator does have some elaborate setups, man. Like it does have a lot of those. But Sherlock Jr. though also, and that's just one of the greatest movies ever made in my opinion.
I'm excited
But,
to-
yeah, definitely excited for both these movies. So
When did I watch this? Let me see. 2017.
damn, you haven't
This
seen
is like
it,
one of my
right?
first like
Silence?
I'm gonna watch classic movies.
Mhm.
It might have been on IMDb list or something. April 4th, 2017.
That's so long ago. You haven't
No,
seen it
that's
since?
crazy. No.
Literally over 7 years ago.
He kind of looks different in this one with the stash. Damn.
Oh, the stash.
I'm excited.
No,
I gave it 4
excited.
stars, so I knew what I was doing.
Yeah, but fun episode this week, and we look forward to seeing you all floating through clouds.
わからないの。でもなんでかわからないけどすごく怖い。どこから始めていいのかわからないからあなたにお話す
Und
こ
ich
とが
habe
で
die
きない。
Akte, die Sie in
で
London
も
eingeholt haben,
もしこれが終わっ
zusammengestellt.
てうまくい
Ich
った
werde
ら
planen in Ihrem Sinne.
もっとどっか大き
Vorzugehen
な世
jedoch
界に行けると思う。
muss ich sagen, dies ist nicht meine übliche Vorgehensweise. Eigentlich interessiere ich mich lieber dazu, meine wirkliche Stärke
私はきっと
ist. Die Situation